Hey everyone, and welcome to Wall Street. We're going to be exploring Lower Manhattan today, walking all the way from the New York Stock Exchange through Tribeca and ending our tour right at Canal Street. We're currently standing outside of Federal Hall as well as the New York Stock Exchange. We have the beautiful American flag here because it is just after the 4th of July weekend. It is the first full trading week on Wall Street post 4th of July. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on this walk. Now there is one thing I wanted to point out. We'll quickly pull off to the side here. This is one of the main entrances to the New York Stock Exchange here. I actually had the pleasure of going inside. It's an amazing, amazing place. But behind us, this building is Federal Hall. This is where George Washington was inaugurated as the first president of the United States of America. Now, unfortunately, all of this scaffolding is going to be up and around the building for the next 8 years. It was a complete 10-year restoration project for Federal Hall, and we're about 2 years into that project. If we walk down a little bit more, this is Broad Street now, you're going to see one of the most iconic statues, which is the Fearless Girl statue, which actually used to be right outside the Mighty Bull on Broadway. There's the Fearless Girl looking right at the Stock Exchange. Lots of tourists out today too, which is a good sign. An interesting thing about Lower Manhattan and FiDi is that a lot of these buildings are no longer office buildings now. The vast majority of them have been converted into apartments or condos. FiDi is the district of Manhattan where you have the highest concentration of office to apartment conversions. You can get the J or the Z trains right here at Broad Street. But I used to take the 2 train from Penn Station, 34th Street, down to Wall Street. It's a direct shot. I was reading a Wall Street Journal article this morning that says tourist activity in New York City is just under where it was before the COVID-19 pandemic. So in terms of foreign visitors and tourists to New York City, we're almost 100% back to normal. And it definitely feels like it. If anything, on some days, particularly on the weekends, it feels like it's even more busy than what it used to be. But that just goes to show you just the resiliency of New York. And every time somebody says that New York is dead, or they talk about how the city is in decline, just the resiliency of the city, it always bounces back. And I think it's going to continue. I think we are in the early innings of a new bull market, I should say, in terms of New York City. But also I think we are in very, very early innings of a bull market in terms of equities as well. We just hit a new all-time record high on the S&P 500. And usually when the indices break out in the new highs, that's actually just the start, just the beginning of a move. You could, kind of go back and do a post-analysis of this when the 2020 crash happened. And when the S&P broke that top, when the S&P topped, we went on to run a significant amount. So I think this bull market is in its infancy here. Now I'll pull off to the side just for a second. This is a very important building right in front of us. This is One Wall Street. This is the largest office to condominium conversion in the city's history, and this was put on by Harry Macklow. Harry Macklow is the developer that's responsible for 432 Park Avenue, which is an iconic building on New York City's Billionaires Row. Same developer. And the kitchens, you have the fixtures and the finishes that are the same at 432 Park Avenue as you have here at One Wall Street. So it's a very, very luxurious building. Also, the amenities at One Wall Street are pretty impressive as well. You have this incredible pool. It's an indoor pool, but you have these spectacular views overlooking the water and the Statue of Liberty. So you could be taking a late afternoon swim and watch the sunset as you're swimming over the Statue of Liberty. It's pretty unique. Now, this is arguably one of the most famous attractions here down in Lower Manhattan and on Wall Street. This is the Trinity Church. It's a really, really stunning place. So if you're taking a trip down to Lower Manhattan, make sure you carve aside some time to go inside Trinity Church. We're gonna bang this right on Broadway and essentially take it all the way up through Tribeca. I may deviate off of Broadway a little bit as we go through Tribeca to show you some notable buildings. Now, oftentimes when people think about the physical street of Wall Street or Lower Manhattan in general, they think of a lot of finance, like investment banks, hedge funds, private equity, and the like. But as we mentioned before, the vast majority of institutional Wall Street is actually not located here. It's located in Midtown Manhattan, specifically a large concentration on Park Avenue. One of the newest and most exciting developments in Manhattan is the 270 Park Avenue Tower, which is going to be home to Wall Street mega bank JP Morgan Chase. You also have Citadel Securities building their corporate headquarters on Park Avenue. So a large concentration of the city's big investment banks are concentrated in Midtown Manhattan. Barclays Investment Bank is just north of Times Square. You also have Morgan Stanley over there. However, you do have Goldman Sachs down here, which is at 200 West Street, which is just off to our left. But a lot of the big firms and a lot of the big hedge funds are all up near Park Avenue, 59th Street, 5th Avenue. Some of the quantitative firms, though, are further downtown. Like you have 2 Sigma, Jane Street, Hudson River Trading. But I'd say the big investment bankers predominantly work in Midtown Manhattan. You have Bank of America Tower. Brian Moynihan is the CEO of Bank of America. That is right next to Bryant Park on 42nd Street. You also have a high concentration of those Wall Street hedge funds in Connecticut too. In addition, you have a high concentration of firms moving to the Hudson Yards. As we've discussed before, you're seeing this massive transition from the older buildings, like the Class B and the Class C office towers, more so to Class A office towers, like the ones you see at the Hudson Yards. A major quantitative hedge fund, D.E. Shaw, used to be in the Marsh McLennan building, and they have since moved to 1 Manhattan West, which is right behind the Moynihan Train Hall. If you go to Google Images, look up 1 Manhattan West and 2 Manhattan West. Pretty impressive structures. We're now passing John Street, as well as Fulton Street. This is going to be the main Fulton Street subway terminal. You're going to have a really amazing views from Fulton Street as well. Predominantly of the World Trade Center. If you make a right on Fulton Street and head south, you'll run into William Street. And one of my favorite developments in terms of condominiums in the entire city sits right on William Street, 130 William. You have to look it up. It's one of the most aesthetically pleasing buildings in Lower Manhattan, in my opinion. Beautiful architecture, and the interiors in terms of the finishes and the fixtures of the apartments are beautiful as well. It was one of the best-selling condos in Lower Manhattan. Now to the right, I'll quickly pop you in the Fulton Street Terminal. You can get the ACE, JZ, RW, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 trains here. There used to be a lot of shops, restaurants, little food courts and things like that in here, but unfortunately due to theft, a lot of those places have closed down. I think you still have a Shake Shack in here, but a lot of the retail is now vacant. So we're on the corner of Fulton Street and Broadway. And you're going to see a perfectly centered view of the World Trade Center here. to the left of us, you have St. Paul's Chapel. If we continue walking, we'll hit the campus of Pace University, as well as the main entrance to the Brooklyn Bridge. So if you're thinking about walking across the Brooklyn Bridge or cycling across the Brooklyn Bridge, if you continue straight up Broadway, past Barclay Street, past Park Row, and you make this right by City Hall, it'll take you right to the on-ramp of the pedestrian section at the Brooklyn Bridge. A lot of the buildings down here are so beautiful, architecturally speaking. Okay, we're headed northbound on Broadway, crossing Park Row. And now we're walking directly alongside of City Hall Park, which is really quite nice. They have an amazing fountain in here. You have City Hall Park. You can see that beautiful fountain. We're now on the corner of Murray Street. Here's the main gates of City Hall. We're also right outside City Hall Station, where you can get the R or the W trains. Once we cross Chambers Street, we're going to go up one more block to Reed Street, and then we're going to make a left. And we'll start to meander our way through some of the really beautiful streets of Tribeca. You're going to see a lot of the cast iron facade buildings. And we'll even take a walk down Franklin Street, where a few months ago I sold a really, really nice apartment. A 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom apartment at 5 Franklin Place, which is actually a private street in Tribeca. Very, very rare unit. And Tribeca is still quite fashionable in the city. However, it did get dethroned by the West Village as the most expensive neighborhood to live in. I'd say if you're taking a day out and exploring Tribeca, take a walk down White Street. White Street has some of the most beautiful buildings in New York City. These unbelievably stunning original cast iron facades from the late 1800s. It's an unbelievable experience being able to walk through there. And if you're lucky enough to get an apartment in Tribeca that overlooks some of those buildings, your views are probably going to be protected forever, because a lot of them are historic landmark buildings, so you could never take them down and rebuild. Two more blocks, we're going to come into the cross section of Broadway and Thomas Street. If you were to make a right on Broadway here, you'll run into all of the main courthouses in the city. Down here is where Elon Musk had one of his bombshell court cases. Look at how beautiful some of the buildings are down here. I really like this one with the bright red brick facade. So now you can kind of see what I was talking about with these buildings, with just the stunning architectural detail in the cast iron facade. Here's one of them. This is a really awesome shot. If you're a photographer and you're visiting New York, make sure you stop by Tribeca. It's a very photogenic neighborhood. Now we're coming up on the cross section of Worth Street. and Broadway. If I stand off to the side here, you'll be able to see the very top of 56 Leonard. This is the Jenga building. We actually have a listing in this building currently active right now. Very unique building, highly desired in Tribeca. Once again, 56 Leonard. But if we cross the street and we look all the way in the distance, that big tall glass building is One Manhattan Square. That was developed by Extel. And Extel are the pioneers of New York City's Billionaires Row, with 157 and Central Park Tower on 57th Street. These are just really stunning facades as well. We're now going to cross Leonard Street. And then we'll get to Franklin Street. Even looking down Leonard Street, if you zoom in, you have those beautiful cast iron facades. Really nice water towers on the building as well. Now on the corner of Franklin Street, look at how gorgeous these buildings are. Again, cast iron. Really, really well built, very heavy cast iron facades. Amazing. Quickly take a detour down Franklin Street. Really beautiful. You even see a lot of the pre-war buildings on the right side of the street too. You can see they're doing a lot of restoration work on a lot of the buildings here too. But right here is actually a private street in Tribeca. This is Franklin Place. And you have a really great apartment building here called 5 Franklin Place. Nice Belgian block cobblestone streets. And right here is actually a garage. So the facade of the building opens up and you drive your car onto an elevator landing and you go right up to your apartment. So again, this is 5 Franklin Place, beautiful pool on the roof, and we just sold a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom apartment here for about $3.1 million. It's a very, very nice condo. And it's in between White Street too, and we briefly talked about White Street, of just how beautiful those buildings look. A lot of them from the late 1800s, the original cast iron facades. It's just a really cool experience being able to live down here. Like, check this out. Here you can see, I'll zoom in here. "55 White Street, 1861. Pretty incredible, right? Stunning buildings. This is a very, very aesthetically pleasing block. This is now going to wrap us around to Church Street, which is also very nice, and it seems to be a pretty clear day, so you'll be able to see all the way to the Empire State Building uptown. We'll also have picture-perfect clear views of 56 Leonard as well. And then, of course, you have the Roxy Hotel to the right. Check out how unique this is. amazing view of 56 Leonard. Tons of restaurants to choose from, coffee shops, huge variety in Tribeca. I want to quickly double back just to show you the base of 56 Leonard. I think Tribeca has some of the best cityscapes.
This is French.
This is Moroccan cuisine. And now you'll be able to see 56 Leonard with all those really unique balconies. Look at that. It's a very unique design. Very, very unique. Pretty cool. Again, those beautiful water towers look so nice. passing the New York Law School and merging onto West Broadway. This is pretty cool because you can see the Hudson Yards all the way in the distance too. Some more really beautiful streets. This is Leonard Street again. And now we're at the 1 train station, right at Franklin. And this will merge us into Canal Street. Now, Canal Street is awesome that it's close proximity to Tribeca, because you can take a short walk down Canal and have some really great Chinese food in Chinatown. So there's a lot of variety of choice. You can have really, really upscale dining in Tribeca, but you could also briefly walk over to Chinatown or even Little Italy for some more affordable, unique bites. This is the Ghostbusters FDNY station. It's a very pretty building too. now Beach Street. And we're only a few blocks away from Canal. Here we are, the Canal Street station, the AC and E train. If you all enjoyed that walking tour from Wall Street through Tribeca, ending at Canal Street, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and if you need help moving to New York and purchasing a property, I'd love to work together, so send me an email in the description. And as always, we will see you in the next one, and thanks so much for watching.